You probably wonder why I've got so many pictures of me with Teslas and helicopters. Well, one, I think it's a cool shot always, and um, but the I love Teslas, and you can see from all of my PV stuff, I love green power. I also love flying helicopters, but it really, really bothers me that they consume a lot of gas. Okay, and so it bothers me, and it got me thinking, why is it necessary for me to kind of feel bad about my love of flying helicopters because they consume hundreds of pounds of the gas on every flight? And I began to ask myself, wouldn't it be possible to power this helicopter with Tesla batteries that then could be recharged by the sun? So I began asking other helicopter people I knew about that, and I have to tell you, every single person said, like, no, it's impossible. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. Batteries are too heavy. Maybe in 50 years, when batteries are light, they'll catch on fire. The whole helicopter will burn up. I mean, people who are otherwise really, really smart people, they're aeronautical engineers. I mean, I wasn't asking like the guy on the street this. I was asking people at Bell Helicopter and other helicopter manufacturers. Everyone said it was impossible. But I did just the simple, stupid thing. I just got out like a piece of like paper and just started making the calculations that a Bell 429, that's a big helicopter, by the way, as helicopters go. It's not as big as a giant Huey, but it's pretty big. It requires it has 1,100 horsepower of engine, and that translates to 850 kilowatt of instantaneous power from their turbines. However, 2/3 of the power in a turbine, which is a kind of a jet engine, and that's what those kind of helicopters use, actually have nothing to do with turning the rotor at all. 2/3 of the power of the turbine is just to keep the fireball in the center of the turbine, to keep it cool enough so it doesn't explode and burn out the shells of the casing. So the only energy that's actually being used to turn the rotor is just 1/3 of that, or about 300 kilowatt hours. So this stuff I put on this slide is all these little notes I'm making, angry why people don't believe this will work. So I looked up in my owner's manual and the Tesla websites and whatnot, and I said, okay, roughly speaking, the Tesla battery packs cost around 1,000 pounds. Weigh around 1,000 pounds for 100 kilowatt hours of power. And that means if I need 300 kilowatt hours of power to keep the bell going for 1 hour, 300 kilowatt hours to keep the bell going for 1 hour, then I would need about a 3,000 pound battery pack. Now the Bell 429's fuel alone weighs 1,500 pounds. So that's pretty heavy. And the turbine engines weigh 250 pounds each. So there's 2,000 pounds of stuff that I would not need in an electric helicopter. If I got all batteries, don't need the fuel, don't need the turbines. So in other words, just on the back of an envelope, I was like figuring out that I'm only at a 1,000 pound weight deficit for this helicopter to fly for an hour. So I said, okay, well, where can I save another 1,000 pounds? The payload and cargo for the Bell 429 is 1,100 pounds. That means it's really designed to carry something like 4 to 6 people, or 4 to 5 people and some cargo, or some mixture of people and cargo, adding up to 1,100 pounds. And I was ecstatic because I thought, wow, if I limited the payload to just 100 pounds, now I know that's a very tiny person, but if I limited the payload to just 100 pounds, batteries should be able to fly this helicopter for an hour. And 100 pounds made sense to me too, because those organs that you see me flying around and repairing, they actually weigh less than 100 pounds. I could fly a couple of them would equal to 100 pounds. And I also thought I wouldn't really put all these batteries in a military legacy dating back to Vietnam War era Bell military aerospace contractor airframe any more than my constant inspiration for all of this. Elon would have started off with like a heavy metal frame from Detroit. Okay, I mean, he did it right, carbon fiber from the beginning, you know, now everybody's like copying him. So I thought, surely I could scam another 500 pounds or so by getting rid of this metal airframe and doing everything in a nice composite fashion. So I convinced myself that this was possible, even though people had told me it was impossible. Thank you. So the next thing I did, after all the experts told me it was impossible, I said, well, what if I pay you to prove it's impossible? Well, everybody likes money. So, so I went to these various skeptics and cynics, and I paid them. I said, I would like you to prove me wrong. Show me how I'm wrong. And so they developed, you know, fancy spreadsheets. And the bottom line is that they said using the Bell 429 helicopter and the 3,000 pounds of battery, that the range would not be 1 hour, which would have been 120 miles for the Bell 429, but instead the range would have been 72 kilometers, which is roughly speaking like 45 miles, or about 20 minutes of flight. And it's like, yes, I'm so happy. I mean, you know, what's the frickin' difference? An hour, 20 minutes? I mean, that's something we engineers can fix, you know? Fly or can't fly? I mean, you're in two different categories. But 20 minutes versus an hour, that's just engineering. So I was like super ecstatic. And the batteries, they said, were the same, 1329, that's 3,000 pounds, okay? So everything was very much, to me, confirmed.